Robert.
Yo, what's shaking AC?
Not much. I don't know. I guess that starting greeting. People either probably love it or they hate it. And if they hate it, then they don't watch the rest. But we only want people to watch it that love it and think that you're awesome and I'm awesome.
I bet it annoys some people. They're like, not this again. That's so cringe. I'm like, whatever.
Do you think they either forward over it or just don't even listen?
I don't think they forward over it because it's so short, but they probably just go, not this again. Just get to the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Say hello.
Before we get to the point, I want to thank you for this, you and the team, for this amazing gift. Now, if people are listening to this on the podcast, they'll have to go and they'll have to either imagine this or go and look and find the video version. But this is so funny and awesome. It is a 2,000 piece puzzle with, I don't know if this is going to work on the recording, but anyway, of the team. And it is so funny and awesome. And it's 2,000 pieces for my birthday. Thank you.
Yeah. Happy birthday. I know you like to do puzzles, and I know that Victoria has a very vibrant and thriving puzzling community with competitions that I have friends there that participate in. So I was like, that's what's got to happen here.
That's so funny. Well, I'm not in the puzzling competition, but I could maybe do that someday.
Okay.
Anyway, that was fun. And it makes me laugh that you're like, well, the more pieces, the better. Cause like, I've barely finished a 1,000 piece puzzle. So I don't know. Anyway.
I don't usually puzzle, but in fact, I haven't since I was a kid, but I just figured bigger, the better, right? Go big or go home.
Yeah, that's your style. But anyway, I will have fun. I mean, at the very least, I have a beautiful, it's like a photo. So it's great. Anyway, so I think that it would be fun today to talk a little bit about some of the awesome things that came up at a recent roundtable. So our Wednesday roundtable, which is a group of amazing established franchisor executives who are really excited to learn from each other, humble, understand that they're lifelong learners. And the topic was favorite franchise recruitment questions. And I love hearing, especially people that have been doing this for many years, like what's something that you love to ask people? So as you know, we had a lot of different people chiming in on their favorites, and I thought it might be fun to recap those.
Okay.
Some of them. So now you're going to rack your brain and see if you can think of any of them.
Well, there was a lot that people spoke about, and there was, a few that really stood out, which I think you could probably talk about a bit more. But my favorite one that I always mention, I got from JT Thiessen from Home Franchise Concepts, and it has to, like, I just picture, a black tile cocktail party, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, True Lies type of thing, and you ask the prospect, if you were at this type of party and somebody asked you what you do for a living, what would your answer be? And you're kind of looking, are they going to say, well, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner? Does that mean that they're kind of ashamed of the type of business that you own? Is it because it's a children's business or involves, blue collar work or whatever it is? Or would they actually say that they own XYZ company franchise, And of course, there's a lot that comes along with that because you have to do something with it. Like they'll answer with, and it may not be cumulative enough to approve or decline them. So that's a whole other story we can go down. But I always like asking that question because I always just remind myself of that movie.
I think you like it because of the idea of the movie, but also you never know what you might get out of it. And I think JT told a story about a woman who, or a couple that the husband was in the process to become a franchisee. And after they dug a lot deeper, the wife actually liked being able to say that she was married to an artist. And so if that had been an objection that caused them to not make it through the recruitment process, and meanwhile, everything else checked off, you would have missed. And so you never know what the questions are going to surface and how to get the things to surface. That's a good one. So one that I really liked is, I like the idea of asking them, why not, this was Vern from Oxford Learning, why not start your own business? Like, why become a franchisee? What I really like about that one is it will uncover their expectations. And, you might hear something like, well, I don't, I want something easier, or I don't want to have to work too hard or something like that. On the flip side, a positive thing would be if you hear them say, well, I love the idea of being able to collaborate with fellow business owners.
Yeah.
Or I love the idea of having the support of a franchisor that's going to guide me on the things I need to do. And I love that the systems are already in place, so I don't have to come up with systems, because I'd rather just follow a system than create my own.
Yeah. Actually, that happens a lot with Control V. When I'm speaking to somebody, the prospect will know a ton about virtual reality, a ton about business, all this sort of stuff. And I'll eventually find that the only reason they want to be a franchisee is because we have incredibly competitive cost of goods sold that nobody else can get. And so I'm like, all right, this is just a financial play for you. Like, do you really care about the company? Will you be collaborating with other franchisees? Will you be following our processes? Or do you just want to do your own business and you're just trying to use us for our cost of goods sold,
Mm-hmm. So when that would come up, would you just dig a bit deeper, or not just a bit deeper, but dig a lot deeper then into their why of why they want to do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads to another one, and then I'll ask you if you want for another one. I also really like the one, I've always liked the one, what is the role of the franchise? What do you see as the role of the franchisee, and what is the role of the franchisor in your eyes? Not that way you can find out. I mean, if anything comes up, like, again, about how hard they have to work, or if there's some really unrealistic expectation they have of the franchisor, that hopefully will surface at that point.
Yeah, I asked that one as well. And in fact, we have an internal podcast that I released to franchisees, in the first episode is actually what that is. Regardless of what you think it is or what you want it to be, this is what it is. Yeah, I mean, that's important to know.
About the one that's cool. Do you want to talk about the one that Pete Baldine brought up?
Yes, absolutely.
PB. So it was about using using the validation process to uncover their beliefs about personal accountability.
That's right.
And yeah, do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What I heard, and you can clarify what you heard from this, is that when the franchisee goes off, or sorry, the prospect goes off to talk to other franchisees, and they come back and they say, well, 4 of them validated that this is a great opportunity, and 1 of them didn't. If you start to dig into, like, well, why do you think that is? And did the, was the franchisee that isn't validating, did they seem like they had good leadership skills? Did they seem like they took ownership of the problems that had been created in the business, or are they continuously blaming external factors? And then when you get the answer to that, say, what do you resonate the most with? Like, out of that, the way that was answered, do you feel that it's valid that maybe to blame those external factors, or what could that franchisee do different? Those are some of the things I heard with that. I'm not sure if I quite caught it, but
yeah, you know what? I like, leadership is such a buzzword these days, and unfortunately, I think most people think that leadership means the leading of people, but it doesn't always mean that. It also means how you act and how you think, because eventually that will be displayed in your actions when you lead people. So if you can't take accountability for things, if you can't take, if you can't say I did something wrong, or this is my fault, and you're constantly passing blame, like, you're not leading anyone in this interview, in this vetting process, but you eventually will be, and that will transcend over to that. So it's so important. And I think almost leadership is maybe even the wrong word, but it's the only word that we use as a society these days to explain something like that.
Well, that sounds like it might be a whole other rant, but I just want to really highlight that one thing that my dad always said with building M&M up to, almost 500 locations. When I asked him, always would ask him, what are some of the key success factors? One was, we always, when we were failing or not achieving our goals, we would always start with, like, what are we doing wrong? Not, oh, it's blame the weather, blame this, because, well, the weather's going to happen. The economics are going to happen, like the economy, the politics. You can't control that stuff, but you can control the way you react. So I really like that when Pete brought that one up. So, well, time flies when you're having fun. I think we dropped down a couple of the questions, but I think it's time to wrap it up.
Let's do it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Go be awesome.